women have a difficult time keeping the guys they like around, and men have a hard time getting the girls they want.
Where are we getting it wrong in the early stages of dating?
The problem is you always volunteer your power over to the guys you see, and you complain about what they do about it. I don't think women give icks to the guys they really like.
As a woman who unfortunately dates men, that's where we lose it, you know, unfortunately.
Well, I'm in a 6-month situationship with a guy. I say, fantastic. Would a wife be in a 6-month situationship with a guy?
A lot of the times we say this and, oh, he's getting naked.
What is it? Like, what is it?
Like wraps. They're like,
do they
these
chop
are wraps.
them?
What does that mean?
Because there's like a popular rap here that like they chop everything
like
and
inside,
and then they wrap like everything together. They just chop it up into like very, 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 very small fine.
So this one,
but it's not that.
This one was a buffalo fried chicken Caesar wrap.
Yeah,
changed my life.
Wow.
So I'm just like recommending it to
Wow.
everybody
Where is
that
it?
I come across. This place is called Bob's White. I don't know where it is.
Bob's.
We ordered
just
it.
Okay, got you. Bob's Deli Wrap.
This episode is sponsored by Bob's White Counter.
You might as well at this point. As long as a man doesn't own it, we're fine. Let me run with this for a minute, please.
Okay, that can be your stick. That can be your bit. Okay. Hi, Ben. I'm so excited to have you here today. Unfortunately.
Fortunately, thank you for having me.
Okay. So the first thing I want to ask you is how you got into talking about dating and relationships. Like what led you here?
You know, I don't know, like dating and relationships are one of those things where all the conversations I was having at the moment, like I came from like the startup world and then I went into like the personal development world and I wrote a book on general topics, but are all around like recalibrating and mindset strategy from starting from a place of zero and identify those zeros. But I noticed all of my conversations would kind of always go back to like love and dating, and my ear would be so in tune and keen to like overhearing conversations around dates and he didn't text this and he didn't. So it's always been like something I feel like I'm a little more naturally interested in than anything else. Like if other things that I've worked on in the past is just, I like them, but I had to work really hard on them. Whereas this a little more natural flow of like the intricacies between early stage dating has always been like a thing for me.
I heard you on the Almost 30 podcast, and I heard you say that you don't touch marriages or relationships.
I don't.
Which is perfect because I actually want to spend a little time talking about the early stages of dating because I feel like that's where we all, well, as a woman who unfortunately dates men, that's where we lose it, you know, unfortunately. Okay, so let's talk about the early stages.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we getting it wrong in the early stages of dating as women?
As women or as men, maybe or both, really? Maybe both.
Yeah, because it's
I
always
think
your
in
fault,
yeah, sure. I think in general, you know, I have been asked like in general, like what are the biggest issues around dating, and like it's hard to encompass all these issues. However, if I had to boil it, I would definitely tell you there's like we live in a world now where all of our information is very much outsourced, and we're over concentrating on consumption when it comes to information around dating. And sadly, but for sure, is that most of the people that talk about dating online, it's not always the best on how to get what they want, but it's really about complaining or talking about what you should avoid and all the things you shouldn't be looking for. And I think sadly enough, a lot of people take everybody else's dating experience and make it theirs. Yeah. And they date with that in the back of their mind at all times. And it's always in your feed and it's hitting you every day. And it's hard to see it from a more organic or natural kind of state of being influenced, right? Like we're over influenced with content. I'm going to be honest.
I was talking about this yesterday, how something I'm trying to do in my dating life right now is I feel like I find myself intellectualizing everything a little bit too much because I have these conversations all the time. All my friends is therapists because coaches don't play. I am reading about all these things. I love reading about psychology. I'm always learning. I'm always listening to podcasts. So it's like, it's always at the forefront. So then I find myself sometimes in dating, I'm just thinking about everything way too much. And I forget about how I fucking feel. Like sometimes I feel like we're all so worried about, is this going by the book? Is this going by, are we, is he following all the rules? Is he doing this right? Is he doing that right? And we forget the biggest measure and the most important measure is how you feel. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
And it's like, I think there's a big difference too between like being strategic and being tactical. And I think we get into these like super tactic granular strategies that like never work.
Give me an example.
Like, if it's 6 hours instead of 3 hours, like you're completely losing the plot, right? Yeah. And now that's just one, right? But there's one like where if he sits, too close to you, but not too far from you, it's just always trying to assess and over-assess and under-assess every detail. You're fucked up.
So what do you say to somebody who's maybe listening right now and they're like, shit, I've been doing that?
Doing what? Overanalyzing?
Overanalyzing
Well, number one, you need to stop listening as much as you are. I think personally, like I always tell people, even the people that follow me and tune into my live streams and they're there, I say, listen, if you're getting to a point where you're taking everything I say and applying it directly to you, listen, I speak in generalities. If you can't understand how to apply general concepts across your life, this might not be the time for you to start consuming content around dating. This might be the time for you to say, I need to shut off the content and really just go live my fucking life. If I had to shut Ben off, shut his ass off too. Because in reality, you're not going to win by that way because you're taking every little detail I say. Like, I'll say something the other day, like, all right, perfect example. Yesterday, I made a post, maybe it was the day before. It got so much backlash because I literally said, like, these are the things that are going to like push a guy away, right? These are the things that will make a guy put you in casual zone. Okay. And the last one is the one specifically that took everybody and like made them, oh no, how? The first two, everyone kind of was like, that makes sense. Yeah. You know, more about like how you present yourself, how you talk, But the last one was being in the DJ booth. And like, obviously I totally threw that off, right? Funny. But when someone didn't like it, there was like hundreds of, maybe over 100 comments of specifically around this topic, around them claiming that like, but he's my best friend. What are you talking about? I'm like,
I'm supporting.
I ain't talking about you specific. I don't even know your ass. Yeah. I'm just letting you know when he sees you post what you're posting and back at the DJ booth, he automatically in the back of his head, he's gonna be like, I can't.
Yeah, people don't.
Just being honest with you.
People don't have. I feel like they lose like the nuance. Like it's like if it doesn't apply to you, don't fucking take it. Or if you are in the DJ booth and you're in a great relationship, I'm clearly not talking to you. Or if it's hitting a nerve, maybe get a journal.
But it's really hard. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I just think it's really hard for people to start taking that level of accountability. It comes with like a responsibility of knowing how to bucket information. Yeah. That's just a little too much work. Yeah. I might as well just take what I see and then follow the tribe. But the problem with that, in my opinion, is that, you get these groups and idea flusters online that you start to follow and navigate towards. Mm-hmm. And everyone seems like they're on a team about these concepts, Yeah. And then you go into this thinking it's like a team sport. And then one girl loses and we're like, fuck that. We all lose, But it's not a team sport. And I think that you start to realize that when people get plucked, when they start to have success in their life and you're like, well, where'd they go? Mm-hmm. They left the cause. Yeah, they left the cause because that was never their cause, And I think that leads people down paths where a little bit self-destructy.
I always say at the beginning of my episodes, I always say no matter what episode it is, I'm like, take whatever you need, leave the rest. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like if we all feel free to steal that from me and say it in your videos too. Like take whatever resonates. Not everything is going to apply to you.
I say the same thing. I just say the words, eat the meat, spit out the bones. Me. I say eat the meat, spit out the bones.
Say it again.
You eat the meat, spit out the bones.
It's a little graphic.
You take what works and leave it dumb. I'm just saying that's the way I talk about it.
Maybe I'll start saying yours and you can start saying mine.
I like that.
Okay. I want to talk about texting. Because why does that fuck us up so much? Like, tell me you get questions about that all the time.
Yeah, we do. But again, I think it always goes back to my original problem, which is like we're looking at everybody else as like, he should be, he should not be. These things. And I can understand where the desire to try to understand why something's happening. Yeah. So you can bucket it. But I've noticed that a lot of people look for those problems just so they can get in control and disqualify it. So they can say, well, at least if it ended on my terms or not, he ain't going to let it end with me. Yeah. So there's part of that, right? But in general, texting is this like huge idea because there's so much unknown and uncertainty around what should be and what shouldn't be.
I know.
But this is like the template concept, you know what I mean? Which I don't buy. I buy in general. Like it's important. Like again, I guess it goes back to my original point. I think it's important to be strategic. And what I mean by that is like, it's okay to have principles you abide by in this, which is really what I talk about, which is like, yes, if he doesn't text you for 3 or 4 days, we have problems. Right. Right. And that may mean a number of things. And it may mean he had personal shit, but that's not up for you to always try to understand either. It's just all you need to know is that this is happening. If it's like 6 hours, this is not your issue, right? Yeah. And that's the part. It's like, well, it's been a day. Listen, pal, if it's been a day and you're bugging out already, I'm sorry, but that's really not his problem. It's too early for you to be this invested, whereas every little thing he does or doesn't do affects you like that.
I think something that I talk about a lot with my friends is we will, in the early stages, we will identify patterns, right? So it's like, let's say for the first 2 or 3 weeks, we've been talking all day, every day, or I don't know, at certain times. And then if there's one day in week 3 where that doesn't happen, we're like, oh, fuck. Shit, like he met somebody else. He doesn't like me anymore. And then we start acting weird because we're like, well, I felt, you know what I mean? Like then we'll start to act different. And so I think something that is challenging for women that they also talk to me about is like being yourself at the beginning and then staying yourself through the course of the uncertainty. Like that's the hard part, I think. That's where we get like in our heads a little bit too much.
Totally. And it's kind of like how I talk about, I mean, generally talk about it in a way of like defense and offense. Like that's kind of like a defensive play.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's reactive.
Yeah.
It's definitely not proactive, and it's definitely not you and what you would maybe have normally done, but he does, therefore I do. And there's like, that's like a mentality that
like matching energy.
Yeah. Matching energy in general, but like also too, like in general, it's a reactive one. And then women will say, well, I'm supposed to be in my feminine, da, 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 da. And I'm like, well, you're kind of full of shit. And if I'm being honest with you, because you've been like that the whole time up until there was one day. Now I get looking for patterns, but
yeah,
in some sense, you kind of have to see like, are they consistent patterns? Or are they like
over time,
you know, one off because whatever happened in his life could be happening. Right.
Right.
I don't think it's enough of that, of being like, you know, why don't you just have enough confidence in yourself that you can get through the day without and be okay. Right. And to reframe this kind of general conversation is that the theme that I talk about a lot especially when it comes to like women and dating is like taking your power back. Mm-hmm. And there's too many women that I speak to or that call into my show that talk about exactly what we're talking about. And I tell them, and I say, well, the problem is you always volunteer your power over to the guys you see and you complain about what they do about it.
Whereas, what does that mean? What does that look like?
I mean, that could be a variety of factors. It could be like, well, you know, I did this and then he did this for like 3 days. And then I started to pull back. I was like, why can't you just like own version of yourself?
Like do what feels natural to you regardless.
Yeah, like regardless. And that's a difficult sell. I get that, right? It's like, because I'm trying to match and see what he's doing. Fair. I understand that. It's early sometimes. Maybe if it's like a day or a week or 2 weeks, I can understand that. But we're talking about like generally speaking, within a month, like why can't you call things out? Mm-hmm. You know, why do you always have to give somebody to say he did this, therefore, whatever it may have been, right? He didn't text me for 6 hours, so I'm not going to text him for 6 hours. I just don't see like, it's a very childish way, in my opinion, to play that game.
What do you think are like tangible ways? Let's say someone's listening and they're like, yeah, this happens to me. I feel like I'm overthinking too much. I'm overanalyzing. I'm being reactive. What are tangible things that women can think about so that doesn't happen? Or tangible things they can do so that doesn't happen?
The reactive side?
Yeah, like just staying calm, even if they might feel a little dysregulated maybe, or they might find a little, you know, something wrong in the pattern or whatever. Yep. Just like maybe things they can say to themselves or just.
Yep. Well, I think number one is that you gotta like, you kind of have to like stay busy, in my opinion.
For
like,
sure.
right, you can't just like
life.
wait around and be like, oh, you know, I have a couple hours now. All I get to do for these hours is think about this dude and why he didn't do what he did. Now I have a whole story that I've developed in my head about why he didn't.
I'm a great storyteller.
So the storytelling, right? Some ladies can write for Disney for sure.
No, do you see this? I have a big head. I have a big imagination. Like.
Fair, but that's a good compliment.
Are you saying I have a big
head? No, I didn't even agree. I said fair. So that's one. And I do think that like, depending on how far you're into this thing with this person, like there's nothing wrong with communication. And like, this is another one of the big problems, if I want to go back to the beginning, is that I do believe that a lot of women that I talk to, so my personal experience is that they really do have a difficult time communicating. They think, and they justify not communicating by saying that if I say this, he will run, because that's been my experience in the past. Now I say to that, what would you say to that?
Well, that's kind of me. Not like I'm working on my avoidance and like working on just reminding my brain. I don't know where it learned that bringing up something. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Okay, working on it, but bringing up an issue or bringing up something that's bothering me in my brain that equals danger. Even though I don't really have evidence of that, I'm just like, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. I don't want to be a burden. I'd rather die than ask somebody for help. Also working on that. So somewhere along the line, I've like wired that in my brain. Therefore, when something is bothering me or when I want something different, I have a hard time voicing that. So that's what I'm trying to practice now. So what would I say to, what I would say to myself when I have done that of just like running away or ghosting or not communicating is like, what are you gaining from that? Like you're not getting any, you say you want a relationship, but then you don't communicate things or you'd rather just run away from it. That's getting you absolutely nowhere closer to your goal. And it's also not fair at the end of the day. Like, would you want to be treated that way?
Right. Agreed. Right. And I
can
agree
say it, but like.
Yeah. And a lot of people think when I say communication, they mean like, so you just mean be a direct to something. I'm like, listen, direct in this is really just about the way it's phrased, right?
It's how you say it.
It's really how you say it.
Yeah.
And that's really the point of this whole conversation is like, you can tell the guy that you didn't like when he did something without being an asshole about it.
Right.
You can always just say, hey, listen, by the way you did that, I'm not going to lie, it did make me feel this way.
Yeah.
I understand you have a lot of things going on, but I just want to let you know that. Once you put that on the plate, right? Once you put that on the table, there can't be a time in the future where he said, I didn't know.
Right.
But too many people, again, this is the give the power away kind of concept. It's like you always want to do that and then say, well, he didn't do. He's just supposed to understand how this hurt me.
It's like they can't read. Unfortunately, men can't read our minds, lady.
Ladies, I know that they're superheroes, but they can't read your
I wish.
I know she hates them, but you know.
You know what I want to talk about is things that men go through or think about in the early stages of dating that women don't realize, like niche things that also men experience all the time, but we don't realize that they're also going through that or thinking about it.
For sure. That's a good one because that's a good one because I haven't really discussed this on any pod, which is funny. I like
exclusive.
that.
Exclusive. You heard it.
Oh, I love that question. I think it's a great question.
Thank you.
Can you restate the question again?
Okay, so like what are some niche things that men might either think about or also go through or deal with in the early stages of dating that women don't fully realize?
I think that a lot of women I'm only saying this because, right, I just want to give context.
Also, yes, and these questions lack all the nuance in the world.
Totally.
Like we can't speak to every person's situation. If you get offended, not my fucking fault.
Yeah. 100%. So I just want to give context about like, not just from my experience, but also like I almost always like 90% of my interactions are with women. So I just want to be clear.
You don't have to brag.
No. I mean that
I'm kidding.
giving my, I don't talk to the closest many men as I do.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
But I would say in general, I would say that guys have this like pullback on their level of vulnerability when it comes to their like emotions and how they're feeling about things.
Okay.
Because they consume similar content that you do.
You think?
Yes, I do. Like if you don't think that they don't see constantly in their streams about what women complain about with dating.
Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah.
That's all they see.
Yeah. Or it's like they're also like having the conversation with their boys and
that too. Right. And they're saying, oh, she didn't do this, she did this. Like, right. There's always this over conscientiousness around giving her the ick too quick. You know what I mean? And it's around like, you don't want to open up too quick. Then she's going to start to think like, can he deal with this if I did this? Like there's this level of that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Have you seen this video on TikTok? It's this guy. I don't know what his account is called. But basically, every time he watches a video of a girl being like, this gave me the ick, he writes it in his notes. Have you seen the video? It's at like 1,240
It's like cooking 2 feet in front of the stove gave me the ick. Like it's the most ridiculous shit.
We've gone to, I fear we've lost the plot with the ick thing.
Well, I think this is part of the problem too, even when it comes to like, when women tell me that like men don't approach anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to understand the nuance, not just because men became pussies, right? And I don't mean of cursive, but like it's not just because of that, right? And there may be some variables that are associated with that, right? Yeah. But in general, again, if you don't think that they see the shit that women talk about men online, they see it all and they complain. They show. One of my best friends the other day literally sent me his feed on TikTok. He was like, if I see, and 8 out of the 11 posts that came next were some girl saying, so I went on this date last night and then like I sucked this guy and here are the 3 things he did wrong.
Yeah.
Or this guy came up to me and approached me in the gym and like, oh my God, like what was this fucking
Yeah.
If you don't think that a guy's thinking like, I'm not talking to any one of these girls and I don't know which one is which.
Yeah.
I don't know which one's going to put me on blast. Right. I don't know which one's going to put me in a group chat.
Right.
I don't know which one is going to do what. So I might as well just say, nah, fuck it. Unless she like really gives me a signal, I'm not even thinking about it. And that's one.
Okay.
The other one is the one I was mentioning before was like this like fear of being vulnerable with like how they're feeling or afraid to like do something that one might see as an ick, which is really an ick is a factor, right? As we all know, is like that makes a guy a little more feminine.
Like what?
It could be anything. It could be like, oh, he showed his emotions, or he wore pink underwear, or whatever, some stupid anything. It could be anything. So they're a little more conscious about like, maybe they've shifted to be like, I need to maintain more of a frame now because I don't feel safe.
So fair. The pink, I'm thinking about the pink underwear now.
Or whatever it was. Like, he wore stupid. So I don't know. But in my opinion, I don't even think like, I don't think women give icks to the guys they really like. It's funny because like,
I don't think women give icks to the men. Yeah, I don't think men get icked out the way we get icked out.
no, because their icks are really not icks. They're just, so I like to think of like a guy will though. Here's like the equivalent in my opinion. It'd be like a guy will sit across from a girl and he'll be like, I'm never going to marry this girl. No, like that's a universal
like you
truth.
were saying it's into my soul.
No, that's like a universal truth.
Yeah,
but the difference is that he will be like, oh, I'll stick around for biz.
Yeah.
But he knows like deep down, he's like, she said something. She was in the DJ booth. I can never marry this girl.
So women love to talk about this of like, do men know immediately? Do they know immediately? Like,
no, that's not true. I don't think that's true at all.
I think it's a little more complicated.
I think that they can know that they're not going to, you know what I mean? When it's easy, when like she does or says something that's like, it's hard for me to get past that point.
Right.
But like this whole thing of like they know immediately, I think it's all full of shit. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's, listen, a guy can have an idea of you. He could say, wow, I really like this idea of her.
Yeah.
He hasn't had enough time to experience the reality of you, you know, and I've done stuff on that. Whereas like he hasn't had enough moments to see when you're hangry or when you miss your train, or he doesn't know you enough to say that's the one. He has like a concept of you, and like dating has changed so much over the last decade that like he doesn't have as many options as you, but he still has other options and he still sees it.
I think men have so many options. And I feel like you talk about this a lot of like just the abundance of options.
Well, I think women have a lot more perceived options.
Okay.
And I think men have very few real options.
Elaborate.
Well, I think the ones like for example, like I don't like the dating app culture, so I'm gonna like kind of stay away from it.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I understand, like, I'm not gonna use like data from the dating apps because I don't think it's really useful. I know that like everyone loves to use that data. They're like, oh, but like, women only swipe 4 out of 100 times.
Oh yeah, no.
By the way, yeah. If I was a girl and you gave me all my preferences, I'm choosing the preferences I want.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you want me to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, of course I'm going to start choosing what I want.
Yeah.
But in reality, there's a lot of other attraction triggers that in person she can really like you, right? Her attraction is much more contextual than it is like I see hot, right? Okay, you see hot, but like there's a lot of other variables. So I just went on a tangent around something else. What were we talking about again?
Great question.
I know, we were just going off on something.
I have like severe ADHD and I'm medicated, so this is crazy. What were we talking about?
I just lost.
Options.
Yes. So I think that men get, for example, right? Like, do men come up to you?
Yes.
A lot?
I meet men in the wild a lot. Yeah.
Do you accept a lot of their invitations?
Not all of them.
Okay. How many percentage-wise would you say?
Let's say like 25%. I'll accept 20%.
Oh, so 20.
Yeah, let's say 20.
Okay. So my point still kind of stands, which is essentially most women reject most men that they meet.
Yes.
Okay. So they do have the options, just they're a little more picky and choosy, which they should be.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Of course.
But the problem with the navigation of those options for a lot of women, especially online, and I know I don't like to talk about that, but Instagram is kind of like the largest dating app in some way, is that it's hard to vet like casual interests or like I like things about her that make me see her in a different way and do a different interest.
Right.
That's a hard thing to dissect as a woman. It's because there is a lot of attention. It's just really hard to understand which attention.
Yeah.
So like all these great guys could be coming at you for a plethora of different reasons. It's just really hard. Whereas a guy knows that if I go on a date with a girl and she keeps showing me attention, she likes me from a commitment standpoint specifically. There's very few times where a girl's like, I just want
Yes.
It just doesn't happen.
Yes.
So when a girl gets all this attention, it's hard for her to understand who wants what.
Right.
When a guy gets it, he knows. He just knows. Because she's losing if it's just the other way around. Like he's going to get in, he was going to have a good time, but he knows that she is interested in him specifically more towards commitment than not, especially if it's consistently.
You mentioned, that's such a good point. Also, you mentioned women want to be approached more, right? Like we want.
Sure.
And I feel like a lot of the times we say this and, oh, he's getting naked. A lot of the times we say this and then, we'll walk around with a resting bitch face, headphones on, looking down, like not really being approachable whatsoever. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I talk about that a lot too. I talk about the RBF. I talk about, I can understand So let me start there. I can actually understand why that's the case because most women want to get approached when they want to get approached.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that just dwindles you down to a very small space that you don't leave the door open. You you have this door and it says closed on it, and you expect guys to pursue a closed door. It's really difficult for them. So they don't. I always tell women to choose men. By the way, that's always happened. This isn't new. Women have always chosen men. They just haven't done it in the way that they think I'm expressing it.
So
it's
how
not
do
like they go
you
up
think
to
we
men.
should choose men?
Well, I mean, I
When
was
we're
talking
out
about
and
this.
about.
Yeah, the essentials of flirting is PESS, which I talked about. It's an acronym that when I first started doing this.
Tell me.
It's proximity, eye contact, smile. It's basics. Everybody knows this.
Eye contact, smile.
Is PESS. This is the essential basics of flirting.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't get around him, make a little bit of eye and crack a little smile just to send him signals, if you're avoiding that at all costs, which in New York, girls avoid every moment of that.
Really?
In other places, they're much more open depending on where you go.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, in New York, ask any guy. Girls in New York don't even want to look at you.
That's so funny.
And they only want to look at you when they want to look at you. So when they're out with their friends, maybe. But in general, that's not typically the standard.
I'm a friendly bitch, you know? So I'm always like smiling and talking to people. I could talk to a dead person. So like, I feel like I think that's also why maybe I am approached, because I feel like I look nice.
You have an approachable face.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I try.
Because it's open.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think, but that's what I try to tell my friends sometimes when they're like, I don't want to get on the dating apps. I want to meet somebody out. And I'm like, okay. Sometimes it starts with, but maybe they're shyer. Maybe they don't want to be like giving signals or doing all these little things. And I'm like, I feel like I was put on this earth to flirt personally. So I'm like, listen, just practice. Like flirt with the waiter, flirt with somebody's parents, flirt with like in a small little way. It's just like practice doing it, because I also think it's like a muscle. The more that you do it, you'll feel more comfortable doing it. And also if you take away the like, if you're treating people that way because you would anyway, not because you're trying to gain something from them or because you're trying to get this guy's number or whatever, I feel like that takes a little bit of the pressure off as well. But so I have a hard time giving advice on this because I just feel like I'm very I am outgoing. You know what I mean?
100%. And it is that narrative. It's like a lot of women don't do it because they think if they do it and nothing happens, that's like an L they have to hold. Well,
don't get me wrong. If like I don't, it's not like I go up to all these guys and I'm like, hey, I don't do that.
No. Even just like looking. By the way, no, I'm talking about looking at.
Yeah.
Not even saying a word.
I look at men like they're a piece of meat, like up and down.
Well, you are a very rare unicorn.
Thank you.
If we're being honest, because that doesn't happen.
Well, I like to admire beauty.
And it definitely doesn't happen here.
And also, you're doing that to me. I'm going to do it to you.
Fair enough. That should be the case. But they don't do that. No, I'm going to say, because I talk to women all the time. And I said, well, I was around this guy. I said, did you look at him? She's like, yeah. I said, was he looking at you? She's like, no. We didn't. You didn't make eye contact with him. What you're telling me. Yeah. You just said you looked at him from afar. See, like I catch them when they do this shit on my show, because they call in and they expect me to backpack them, and I don't backpack them.
I'm glad you don't.
I dig my nose in the dirt, and I'm going to say, I'm going to find your problem, because right now you're lying. Yeah. And I'm going to catch you. Yeah. Because you're going to mean to tell me that no guy looks at you? You're a liar. Bro. Yeah. And I say that to them. I was like, you're lying, and we're going to find. No, they say, no, they don't. I say, okay, fantastic. When's the last date you went on? Boom. And I walk down, boom, boom, boom. I said, where's the last place you went? Where's the last time you looked a guy actually in his face at his eyes? Yeah. Well, that was a couple months ago. Okay, well, here we go now. You can't muster up the human ability in you just to look at. By the way, this isn't even flirt. Take flirt out of this game.
Just like normal.
Just be a nice, genuine person.
Well, that's what I say is like, and I get it. It's easier for some people to be more open, and I understand that. But I also just think it's a practice of just learning how to, I think we've lost how to fucking speak to people because of our phones. Yeah. And so I do think we've lost the art of flirting in general, and also just speaking to other humans that you're not even romantically interested in. And so maybe the advice is start there. Like start there. Just talking to people that you're not interested in whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's not even like trying to be sexy or flirty. And that's just being nice, right? And that's just the frame that people have to start operating.
Yeah, I like that. What other advice would we give my girls if they want to flirt more?
Well, they got to actually step outside. And by the way,
we all want a guy to just like show up, like knock at the door. Hi, I'm
with
here.
With your girlfriend. Ready. So you want him to penetrate your linebacker group and like come in here and like.
Not the linebacker.
You know what I mean? They're like defensive line. You know what I mean? But that's the way the guys see it. Yeah. Like they're like, nah, I'm not doing it. Yeah. Not only is she not looking at me, but she's with her friends. Why would I overdo that? Yeah. These days, it's just different, right?
And they're like let's do a lap, as if the lap is going to do. He's like, yeah, there's no fucking way I'm penetrating that.
No.
Yeah.
No, because by the way, they also have some experience of like them growing up and like one of her friends is like, she's good. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, you of all people, the nerve.
There's always like one or two that are like, get the fuck away. Yeah.
And those are the ones that have the hardest time. But yes, you're right. Like, and I get it, right? But I get that there's assholes out there and there's guys that are like, they overassert themselves or they talk to. I get all the problems with guys.
Yeah.
But you can't just clump all guys in because you eliminate all your opportunity, right? And like the one dude that was potentially a good dude, you kind of like, when he sees stuff like that, he's like, I'm not approaching these girls.
One of my friends the other day, she was like, oh my God, this really hot guy like came up to me, like whatever. We had such a cute like dialogue and he wants to go out. He wants to take me out. I'm like, hey, what? I'm missing don't understand what the problem is here. She's like, well, he probably does that to every girl he sees. And I'm like, maybe he's a man and maybe he is comfortable talking to a lot of women, but maybe he really liked you and you wouldn't like, that can't be the reason why you don't go on the date because he's also doing this with other women. It's
a ridiculous reason.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, like, okay, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
You know, because here's one side of the coin is that you want guys to approach you. The other side of the coin is that when guys approach you, they do it to every girl.
I know.
Like, can you even, what's the justification?
You want a guy that you talk to me and you've never spoken to any other woman in your life.
Sure.
You have amnesia. After meeting me, you have amnesia.
Funny enough, I actually think women don't want that at all.
Really?
I think that at a superficial level, I think you're right. Like, that's the way to justify it. In like their heads, like, oh, I don't want a guy that's talking to the girls, but I think they do.
Elaborate.
I think there's a lot of social proof that comes from it.
Yeah.
Which is like when you see a guy that doesn't talk to girls and he can't get girls, there's something about him that's unknown that could be creepy that is a risk.
Right.
And when there's other girls, you know it's somewhat, to some degree, safer. So you much more accept the guy that's okay talking to girls.
Yeah, that's true.
But I understand your point because I kind of agree with what you're saying. In theory, they're trying to justify it by saying, well, I don't want him to talk to other girls. But how you react is different, right? So like, again, there's another one of those things that I run into a lot, which is like, they'll tell me what they want, but then they react something different, right? Like, oh, I want a guy to do this, this, and this. I'm like, well, okay, run me through the last 4 dudes you've been with. And they were all
opposite.
All dogs.
Yeah.
Roughing all over here. And they're like, the nerve of you to ask for this, but then respond to this? How's that possible?
Wow.
So then it's like, oh, well, maybe, that was just a night. Right. So you got to make this dude work and these dudes don't?
That's crazy.
Well, you don't think guys see that too? I mean, they do. In my opinion, I see it. I just from observing it, I see it.
So, okay, you have your live show, right? Or on TikTok when you're live.
Yeah.
I know that this answer you could write a dissertation on this, but most recently, what are the things women are coming to you with the most?
Yeah, I mean,
or is it always just a little bit of the same?
No, in general, I'll over bucket it and then I'll like give some nuance to it. But like in general, women have a difficult time keeping the guys they like around, and men have a hard time getting the girls they want, right? So it's kind of like the getting and the keeping, and all the calls that I get on my lives are around, if they're around situations, it's always from 2 weeks to like 3 months, or somewhere in that realm, because there's all the unknowns.
That's the battlefield. Yeah.
There's all the unknowns in the early stages about the guys that they like, right?
Yeah.
So I try to give a template of like decision making that makes sense. So that tends to be most of the problem, which is like the texting, the communication, the taking out, just bucket it all in there. But I have like a framework that I think is important to kind of like make decisions through. I first have to, I run them through like a question, right? Which essentially I need to know, number one, where are you calling from and how old are you?
Okay.
Basics, right?
Okay.
Before they even say a word, it has to be that. Because I need to have structure to the show, because sometimes if I let people, they just start going. And then like the audience is there is like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So sometimes people like the shows because it's very structured, where it won't just jump all over the place. So that's one. But two, when people have a difficult time making decisions around these like early stages, I try to paint a picture, which is essentially like, okay, what do you want? That's number one, right? Take this dude out of the equation fully. I don't want to hear his name. Don't even think of any dude. I want to know what you want specifically, right? Just in general. And then some will say, well, I only want her with the right person. I say, well, that's kind of a cop-out in my personal opinion. You need to want it, because in order to even become who you need to become to get it, you need to be that person.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're naturally going to start attracting better people, right? So if you're waiting for the right person in order to be this person, that's the flaw, right?
Yeah.
So what do you want? I don't really care what it is. I'm not judging what you want. If you want to be Kashi Cashmere, you could be that too. Or if you just want, if you say, hey, I would love to have a family and get married, typical, right? That's very common.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, cool. If that's what you want, I'm not here to judge. Or I just want a relationship. I don't want marriage. I don't even want kids. Those are the two. I always hear this one. I rarely hear this one. And I almost never hear this one.
Okay.
So when it comes to this, typically most of the time it's okay. If you want that, who do you have to become? You want husband, right? Let's just stop. Who do you have to become? Do we have to do this, right? And then, okay, I do want to be able to make better decisions. So I said, okay, fantastic. And then she'll say, well, I'm in a 6-month situationship with a guy. I say, fantastic. Would a wife be in a 6-month situationship with a guy?
She doesn't like.
Would a wife not? Yeah, and I hate to use the word wife, but it's just the general concept here, which is like, would a wife allow 2 weeks of no talk with a guy that she's just starting to talk and accept him when he comes back?
And what do they say?
Well, it makes a framework of decision making, and then it kind of some of it kind of clicks, and they're like, "Oh, that makes sense," because desire and then identity is a very big part, and sometimes identity for people in general can make decisions easier for them. And like, for example, right, like if you do yoga or you're a yogi, and that's an identity thing. I'm going to yoga class or I'm a yogi. Of course, I'm going to yoga class. Right. Of course, I'm going to eat the way I eat. Of course, I'm going to go to bed at it's just there's a decision making process that goes alongside it.
Yeah.
And that can be filtered with everything, right? Like you're an entrepreneur or I'm going to start a business. Like, of course I'm going to start a business. I'm trying to always solve different problems that I have a passion for. And naturally, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So it comes with the pitfalls too, right? It comes with the hard decisions too. And that makes it easier, I think, for people to make better, more effective decisions when it comes to like this part of their life.
I love how you were talking about, would a wife do this or would a wife accept this kind of behavior? Because I think a lot of my 20s were in therapy and we're just trying to work on like worthiness and understand my patterns, kind of be curious about certain belief systems that I had and where they came from and why. And a lot of it was about self-worth. And I think, you know how they say we accept the love we think we deserve, right? So I think one of the biggest things in dating for me has been like, okay, if I accept the love that I think I deserve, then how can I make sure that I feel and know that I deserve the world? What would you say to somebody if they were working on that?
If they were working on how do I choose somebody? So can you say that last part again?
Like, how do we make sure that we know our worth so that we don't accept anything less, basically? Because that's so much of what it's boiling down to.
Yeah, and that's a difficult question, right?
Yeah.
And I think that for me, right, I would think, what is the type of person you want and who do you have to be to get that person?
Yeah.
And part of the reason I would think about it that way is because it kind of puts you in the control seat.
Right.
Not that the other one doesn't. I think that like, I think it's difficult when it says like, what do we deserve? And I understand that framework, which makes somebody feel very empowered about the decisions they can make. It's just part of it, I think, which is important to use is like, who do I need to become and how do I need to give myself? And if that's not reciprocated, then how do I respect myself enough to like
leave.
Not be there,
Yeah.
And it's hard because, that's a tricky question in general because everybody feels like they deserve something, right? And some people don't.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, right? And that's why
Well, for a long time, I was fine accepting breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
I was fine accepting certain things, even though deep down I knew I wanted more. Even though deep down I was like, why am I putting up with this bullshit?
Totally.
Like, because I felt like, fine, it's fine. It's fine. I would convince myself like, this is fine for now. I'm having fun. It's okay. But deep down, I knew I didn't want that. I just didn't feel like worthy of it, really,
Totally. And, like I found myself there too, like even in my 20s, right? Like I would accept behavior from girls because I know what it's like to be that guy that's like, oh, I would love to be in her life. So I'll be like the friendly guy that wants to be used when when she needs something done. I'll never be that guy again. But like in my low 20s, I'll never forget. Like that's kind of how you learn, right? And develop is like, if you never go through that, like I'd never be able to talk the way I do at 25 because obviously you have to go through a number of these things and say, well, I have to become something different. Like my decision process that's not good for me naturally.
Something that I worked on a lot too is I feel like I have a lot of beautiful friends in my life and platonic love has never been the issue for me, really. It's been more just being a little more avoidant romantically. And a question that I love to ask myself with my friends is just like, would I want to be my own friend, And so then I kind of switched it and I'm like, would I want to date me? And like, for many years in my 20s, that would have been a fuck no, you know? And now it's a yes, which is great. But it's like, I think that question is also helpful to sometimes think about.
Oh, it's a big time. I like those kind of questions.
Yeah.
Like I was saying before, the other one, like who do I have to become? Or like who would want to date me?
Yeah.
Because it brings like humility into the mix, which I do find extremely important because there's so much like, again, I think there's so much of like an online world where you get to feel empowered, even for poor decisions. Yeah. Where it's like, it's a feel good sphere, right? Yeah. And that's part of the reason I started to steer away from that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't actually find it that helpful. Even for me, when I wanted that kind of stuff, I didn't actually find that helpful. Now I know women and men can maybe absorb a little bit differently, but I do think that level of accountability of understanding the responsibility I have to adjust for the things I want is more important, but also more powerful because it doesn't give your power away to somebody else. It kind of says like, okay, what could I be doing now? Right. To either one, attract or to get out of the situation or call somebody out or put myself in a better position. Yeah, like taking accountability of like, if you keep attracting the same kind of man and you don't like the kind of man that you're attracting, what am I doing that keeps attracting these? Like also taking accountability, which is not a comfortable conversation. Sure. Something else, you know what I want to know is you talk to so many women. What did you say? 90% women you talk to every single day. Yeah. You're bragging. You hear so many stories. Not in that way. I just hear a lot of stories. I want to know what's something you have learned this year about dating and relationships, like you personally, from like hearing all these stories or hearing all these perspectives. Like, what's a lesson for you this year? A lesson this year would probably be like, out of everything, I don't know. I'd probably say like patience is kind of underrated with these early stages. Okay. Like, I think a lot of people don't have a lot of patience. They want to always know and they find out and know the answer and know the outcome really quick because they want that level of certainty to make them feel like secure. Yeah. Whereas I feel like there's so much more power in the ability to like let chips fall is what I like to call it. Yeah. That I think is important, but also puts you in a control position of yourself, which is sometimes you got to let these chips fall and people notice that kind of energy. And I've seen so much of the opposite that could naturally be a turnoff, right? It's like, and I came from the startup world, which I think is important to note here because like I was given this point last night to one of my sessions I was doing. I think it's important for you as the vehicle to keep going. Like you don't need one specific person to keep this thing going. Yeah. You know, it's like if I go to get investment from a company, like a VC company or something, and if I am fully reliant on their investment, they're not investing into me. Right. It's not happening. Yeah. The train needs to keep going. And then they need to be like, okay, we want to be a part of that. Right. That's something I want to bet on. Yeah. And there's some kind of relationship that comes over in the dating world, which is like, not to say that you need to display that you have other things, other people, but people need to know that you're okay being you and that you're going to be okay regardless of what happens here because your train's still going to go. You don't need one person's validation or one person's moment for you to say, that can only continue if this happens. I think that puts you at a very vulnerable and very weak position. And it also shows that there's a lack of confidence in the actual person, the product. Yeah, like if it's not this, it's something better. That's what I apply to anything in my life. The most attractive thing a person, but definitely a woman could say is like, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. No worries. And that's okay. Yeah, like being okay walking away. Guys would be like, oh my God, that was hot. Okay. Because it's hot. Yeah. Because a guy's like, oh, she's not like, it's more like, she's not like trying to get me to sign a contract. Like, what are we doing? But I don't need you. Right. But that could be correct. Right. And I think that the way that could be communicated is just that, right? Yeah. It's like the way we were saying before, which is like, listen, I really like you and I hope this goes somewhere, but if it doesn't, that's okay. We can learn from each other. Yeah, yeah. And like there's things to take away. Yeah. Like I'd be like, she ain't getting away from me now. Yeah. I'm not gonna let her get away now. Yeah. I think this is very powerful. That's all. I love that. Okay, unfortunately, we have to start wrapping up. I want to wrap up with a fun little game, okay? We're gonna do a fill in the blank. So you're gonna give me a one-liner or a one word. You do a one-liner. What? Okay. Ready? You know it's getting serious when? You meet the parents. Oh. I mean, I just came off the top of the head. No, that's, that shit's serious. Don't worry, some girl in the comments gonna be like, I met his parents and dumped me. You know you like them when? Consistency is a part of it. The first red flag a lot of women are ignoring is? He talks too much about himself to prove to you that he's valuable. The bare minimum that gets romanticized is? Texting. I don't care how much he texts you or calls you or sends emojis or responds to your stories. If he doesn't take you out, it's over. It's a wrap.
There's no action. Yeah.
It's a wrap.
Rejection shows up as.
Say that one more time.
Rejection shows up as.
Wounds.
A woman showing interest is seen as.
Hot and worthy.
Chemistry matters, but blank matters more.
Connection.
Safety in dating looks like.
The ability to communicate properly.
That's it.
That's all. Those are actually pretty good because I was like thinking, I'm like, damn, what am I supposed to say?
Honestly, if somebody asked me these, I'd be like, I'll get back to you. Like, I don't have it.
Okay, let me ask you before we go.
Okay.
What's been the biggest, most valuable lesson that you've learned from dating at this point in your life?
Fuck. Ben, this is not what we're doing. Okay, let me think. No, there's so many. Honestly, I learned a lot this year. I've learned a lot this year. I think that's so hard.
I know it's difficult.
I think for me,
you could just say one of them. It doesn't have to be the.
Well, for me, a lot of it is truly, I'll say that again, but if I don't, like, everything changed for me when I realized, or when I started to like myself and treat myself kindly. I was able to show up better and actually be okay asking for the things that I need and communicating the things that I need. So I think for me, it's like a constant working on myself to like show up better. And for me, it really always goes back to the worthiness, like always convincing myself and reminding myself, like, I'm worthy of these things. It's okay. You can ask for things. It's fine. Like, it's not too much. So I guess like just how important communication is and not stopping like doing the work on myself. You know, maybe sometimes I feel good and then we stop doing all the things that keep us feeling good.
Yeah.
So just reminding myself how important that is and that people can't read your mind. Men can't read your mind. So
one more question before you end it.
Oh God.
What are the two biggest things that you look for specifically in a guy? Could be very broad.
For me, like I show up as my best self when I feel safe, like when someone makes me feel safe. And that can look in so many different ways. So maybe just that feeling, it's not tangible. It's like a nebulous thing, but feeling safe. And something else, I think I really look for like humility is something I really like in people.
Yeah.
Because that speaks to your character, that speaks to how you were raised, maybe that speaks to how you treat other people. I can see it in how you treat other people. I can see it in how you treat yourself. Usually I find that the most humble people also are really kind, which is something I really look for. Those two, I think.
Cool. Those are good.
Yeah. What about you? Wait, now you're... No.
That's it. That's it today, folks. Thank you very much for being here.
What are the two things you look for the most?
Why do you have to go back to me? This is all about you. This is ending on you. I wanted to end it on you.
No, I want to know.
Two things I would look for, which I have in general, which would be, I would say the ability to like have fun and not take yourself too seriously, I think is very important.
Yeah.
And like, that's a nice thing to like just be around.
For sure.
And I'd probably say they change from time to time. I'd probably say the ability to like to be vulnerable and communicate properly, which is important.
Yeah.
Even just somebody who tells me how they feel about certain things is hot.
Period. That's a wrap.
I did the basics. You did yours better. All right, fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
Of course, this is great.
That was so fun.
This is really good.
That was so fun. I want to come to one of your shows.